Let's move on to the next panel, which is titled Commerce Advertising and Its Benefits.
Well, this time we're going to be talking about something different, and this is something that I think all of you also have experienced at some point in time. If you all are on Instagram, if you're on Facebook, or on YouTube these days, you would have come across this, which is commerce advertising. You're scrolling through your stories, you're scrolling through your reels, you come across a video targeting you with something that you like, and the video plays, and below you have shop now. Click, instant gratification. I mean, we live in an age where things are, bought, sold, all at just a click. Now, in this panel over here, I have a very interesting mix of people. There are some brands which are still very brick and mortar, where there's very high involvement in the way they go about selling their products. And then there are brands which are purely looking at the digital consumer. So I want to start by, asking you, Sachin, can start with you. What is the mix of e-commerce advertising to traditional that you have in your brand? He's from Paisabazaar.
So I think probably we are the newest in this form of advertising, because the kind of business we are in, we sell loans, and this is what I believe, that shoppable ads are good for categories where your purchase decisions is triggered by a visual appeal, like travel or fashion, or for all these categories, it's a very good fit in. We have to create something. So for example, if I want to run a shoppable ads, I'll show an exotic location, show you the video of that, and then tell you, if you don't have money, take loan from me, and then something of that sort, right? So because loans are not that category, which will naturally fit with this type of ads. We have just started out. We are very new in it. We're just learning. We have started with Instagram and Facebook shoppable ads, trying to sell loans and credit cards there, trying to pitch credit card features alongside different, shopping festivals. All these portals are organizing, be it the Big Billion Days, etc., that this card will give you maximum benefits on these sort of sales. So that's what we are trying to do. But in terms of the overall proportion, I would say it's less than 5% currently.
Right. Pragya, coming to you. I think here you work with different products from the Crompton portfolio, where some I would think would cater to shoppable ads, but otherwise most of it would probably be your traditional retail.
Yeah, so we're actually, while people talk about Crompton, so let me clarify, we're into fans, but we're also into other categories like appliances, like water heater, your kitchen appliances. We sell a lot of mixers, induction cooktops, kettles, toasters, sandwich makers. We sell air coolers, we sell lights and residential motors. So I was just talking outside to them and it appeared a little surprising to them that any guesses on what do we sell online the most? Any guesses out of all the products which I've said? So I'll repeat, we sell fans, we sell water heater, we sell mixers, we sell induction cooktop, we sell lights, pumps, air coolers. What is it which we would be selling the most online? Okay. We sell a lot of water heaters online, guys. Imagine, and it grows. It grows rapidly. We're in the #1 position currently on Amazon. We sell a lot of air coolers online. Right? So e-commerce can give you advantage beyond what the brand itself can think. Right? You have the right product, you have a plug-and-play model, you've got the right service, warranty standards, and, quick conversation with the consumers and great service. And you were there. Right? So we're actually into a category where the behavior varies a lot. Right? Fans is rapidly growing online, but dominant part of the sale is still offline. The dichotomy under which we operate is typically for a category like fans is 80% of the evaluation happens online, but 90% of the buying happens offline. Right? So by the time the consumer actually reaches the store, he or she has gone through about 4 to 6 channels online to decide which product to buy. So there are about 2-3 products which are top in the mind of the consumers. They go to the shop, they look at the dummy. If they've got the product, they're fine. They go and check on Amazon. 2/3 of the consumers are actually going to online channels to check the prices before buying. So for us, e-commerce is not bottom of the funnel. It's the full funnel. I want to increase awareness. I need to be there on marketplace and e-commerce platform. I need to build consideration. I need to have the right creative on content, right? I need to build preference. I need to have the right pricing and offers, right? And all my creatives need to talk about that. Because if I'm not there in the mind of the consumers who are walking into the shop, I've lost it. So my e-commerce spends are in excess of about 35% of my overall media spend.
Right.
So that's how it is.
Okay. Anand? This is again a very different category with you.
So I just spent a minute or two talking about the consumer that we work with. So imagine dark, dusty highway somewhere in rural Yavatmal in Maharashtra. There'll be a bus stop. There are state transport bus stops maybe 10 times a day. Around the stop, there'll be a guy selling chai, samosa, there'll be some guy, provision store, etc., servicing folks who get down from the bus in a couple of villages nearby. That guy there is a guy who's banking actively with. So that's the core consumer whom I service, which is really aspiring Bharat, getting there, is starting to use UPI, starting to do e-com transactions, consumes a lot of media online, the latest of shows, K-pop, K-drama, name it, and it's being consumed out there. Is big time on Instagram and any of the other such social platforms. So that's the core audience. We are reaching out to them very aggressively now through digital media. In fact, over the last few years, digital has been the cornerstone of the market. Yes, television, etc., is done to build trust because there is a certain power to being visible on television. But whether it's OTT, Instagram, Facebook, etc., Google, that's where this kind of a core audience is. And they do respond to communication out there. So click and buy. So whether it's opening an account online, today almost 5 to 7% of the accounts that we open come to us straight through digitally. Guy is clicking and the guy is opening a subscription bank account, which means they're paying 449 rupees every year to own a bank account. So that's where we stand in this. So big area for us and a very important part of the mix. And the good part is that there is solid response which is coming in.
At Lohono, I guess it's you're again catering to a completely different market, and this how much of it can you actually do through e-commerce advertising?
So just some background about Lohono Stays. We rent out private luxury villas in India and across Southeast Asia. So I hypothesize, like Sachin mentioned, right? Lohono Stays, we rent out villas in luxurious destinations and luxurious homes, right? So it has a great visual aspect. So while the hypothesis was it would be easy to sell or easy to rent out villas with shoppable ads, there was a nuance to it, right? Our villas start from 60,000 and then they go up, right? So this kind of people wouldn't spend as much money on shoppable ads. So what we tried doing then is launching reserve by paying a token amount on shoppable ads. And that's where we saw some success. Obviously, we're trying to see if we can do this from the remarketing end and seeing if someone's actually viewed one of our properties or abandoned a cart in one of our funnels and retarget him on that front, right? So shoppable ads, yes, we're still exploring, but we really are very bullish about this, especially on the remarketing side. We really believe from the remarketing side, along with the reserve or pay a token amount and book the villa, that's going to be a game changer for us in future.
Okay. Now, in the next year or so, once the DPDP Act and all of this comes into play, also with third-party cookies on browsers being, removed slowly but surely, gathering the data on your, especially for, luxury stays or even for the payments ecosystem where you got to know your customer, how are you going to go about that once cookies are gone?
Sure. So let me start on this.
Come back in reverse.
So this all started with Apple's ITP program, and Google. Just for everybody's perspective, Google is going to launch that 1% dummy or 1% sandbox testing from first quarter, and second quarter it's expected to go live with everybody, right? But along with that, there is another law which is not law but act in India, which is called DPDP Act, which also will come somewhere in third quarter in India, right? So cookies, data privacy is going to be a huge factor, right? So what we will have to ensure, right, as product and marketing folks, is that data now should reside in your system, right? You should try to acquire as much data as possible, make users sign up, make users log in, incentivize them for doing so, right? Give them an experience on the application, and keep them sticky to your ecosystem of products is what I would say.
In the payment space also, I mean, here you really need the KYC data, right?
Absolutely. So in that sense, a account holder is KYC, right? So in terms of data security, emphasis on infosec, keeping stuff safe, privacy, etc., bank has incredibly high standards. It's a very strongly regulated entity. So in that sense, it's really not a worry. We are pretty safe out there. From a pure marketing sense, I mean, a core marketer in me feels actually very happy when something like this happens, because then it will really boil down. It becomes a very level playing field. It boils down to your ability to, as you said, service the customer, the right kind of experience, the money that you've invested in, or the effort that you've put in creating the right brand experience. So in a way, that's a good thing to happen. And anyway, there is a lot of behavioral information that's been picked up. And today, so much of information available, for example, from maps, from so many other sources, that it actually increases the power of your own decision making. So really don't see it to be a very, very big loss, at least from our perspective.
Pragya, are you all really looking at this as a problem area?
Yeah. So not a problem area, probably as an opportunity, because we are gearing towards capturing that data. Our website traffic is growing quite massively. And we also realize that 55%, let's say, of consumers who go into an Amazon from our website are actually buying another product. So it's important that I capture that consumer nuance and also target, because in our category, from a high intent consumer will end up buying a product within 5 days time. If I don't retarget the consumer within those 5 days, I've lost a consumer. Right? For me to have that first party data is very important. We're working on the back end.
Okay, so you're depending on capturing the first party data right on your own website. And
Yeah.
now for that, there will be a different marketing strategy to get your website up front.
Absolutely. So we're working on CDPs for that, and hopefully we should have it running soon.
Right. Right, Sachin.
So, being a digital first company, we realized the importance of data since our inception. And so honestly, our reliance on third party cookies are not that much. Because we have sound data infrastructure in place for our first party data. We had our data lake prepared, I think, around 6 years back. We have a CDP layer. We have all the streams coming into that. We have, converted every customer into a unified profile, and we enrich that profile with as much data as we can. So I'm not really worried. In fact, like Anand said, that it'll give us a level playing field, and I believe we might have an upper hand there because we started working on our first party data, way back quite early than the other players.
So I think the finance and banking space is probably much more mature compared to other categories.
Because we are in a regulated environment, we have to rely on our own data as much.
Right. So when it comes to now tracking your advertising spends, I would think that, digital is very easy to track. Who's doing what, where, how many times, what's the duration, all of that can be tracked. But how would you compare this with, and all of you all use all media, not just digital, outdoor, you use television, you use print. How would you, compare the tracking metrics between digital and say something like an outdoor or print?
So first, I'll just add to your statement. You are right. Tracking is easier in digital, but attribution is not. So as easy the tracking is, attribution is as difficult in digital because, your consumer is exposed to multiple channels. Everyone is claiming that I showed your ad to this consumer came to your site because of me, and you have to decide whom to attribute that sales to. That's a difficult thing, and that's why we have all these data-driven models, etc., etc. Now, when it comes to, offline, attributing between tracking offline and digital, that's a different task altogether. But we have some internal, I would say, homegrown systems in place. First of all, we all rely on the last click. from the very beginning, we know that this first click, second click, third click, this game is very confusing. So we said that, okay, whatever we lose, whatever we gain, we'll rely only on the last click attribution. We'll have an attribution window of 30 days. So if you have introduced a customer and it converted within 30 days, it's yours. Otherwise, it's not yours. Right? And then we realized that, giving a last click attribution to everything, we are somewhere killing the branding on the mid funnel, upper funnel aspect of the marketing. So we adjusted the weights accordingly. So just to give you an example, if I am okay to get a customer at 100 rupees from Google, which is slightly lower funnel channel, I might be okay to pay 3x for a channel which is like YouTube or Instagram, where I know it's slightly upper funnel. So we have adjusted weightage, given weightage to those, and created benchmarks for that. As far as outdoor is concerned, we are not very heavy on outdoors. In fact, we have seldom done it. For us, it's largely video advertising on TV, and we have a way to measure that. We track, in fact, we take the BARC data on T+3 days. We map it with our traffic, and we map where our ad played and what is the lift, what is the average lift, what is the tail effect, how our basically the level has moved. So it's slightly complex model, but in house we have built it and we rely on that.
Okay. Pragya, how was your tracking now?
For us, of course, digital is growing fast. It's currently more than overall. If I look at the commerce and the non-commerce side of it, it's more than 50% of the spend. But I tend to compare a traditional to digital in terms of tracking. For me, digital is far more accountable in terms of spend, right? When it comes to whether top of the funnel, whether bottom of the funnel, where commerce is there, commerce is even more sharp. At least I can decide my conversions rate. I can decide what is the cost exactly am I operating on. What are the cost on each of the parameters in terms of analytics, my CPR, my CPC, CVRs, ACOS. That's pretty much sharp. In case of traditional, of course, and as I go up, when I go to awareness side, the line gets a little blur, right? For example, in case of traditional, what you do, you kind of see what's been your reach, what's been your impressions, and then you do your own brand health scores to understand what's been your spont recall reach, what's been your overall conversion change and all. But that pretty much doesn't answer as sharply as digital. So if I was given 100 and say, okay, fine, you need to spend somewhere where you can give a clear answer as to how it impacted the sale, it is, of course, my bottom of the funnel, which is my commerce advertising I can rely on. That's very sharp, and the impact is also immediate. And if I take a 15 days or 30 days attribution, far more sharper than what I have to do at the traditional channel. That becomes easier for us.
Okay. Yeah.
Really echo the sentiments in this one that, digital is incredibly sharp. Television can get really vague. And as is with marketing, right? I mean, when the campaign works, everyone's going to take success. Everyone's responsible for the success. But when something boomerangs, marketing put your hands up, right? So that's going to be reality of our lives. Let's kind of live with it. But television, again, when at least the way we've been measuring it is that since all the ads, whatever we put on TV, not much, largely news channels, some movie channels, goes with a very clear call to action, which is a missed call number, for example. So then you start correlating that, okay, did my missed calls increase? So then you can kind of timely attribute. But there's always a bit of a challenge really at the end of the day. As they've said, right, 50% of marketing spends go away. Nobody really knows which 50. Now, courtesy digital, it's far more accurate, but one has to live with a little bit of ambiguity and have certain other metrics around it. And then, thereafter, it's a nice fight as to, what's really impacted sales.
We can take a few audience questions as well. We have 5 more minutes, before which I'll get Lohono to also comment on it.
Sure. So we have a similar problem like what Sachin mentioned, right? We don't really have a problem with digital versus offline. We also have a problem with attribution, right? Because our phone numbers are available at multiple centers, right? Like with different campaigns and all. So we don't know which campaign is initiating those calls. That's one of the problems, right? And many a times we get a lead via Google, but there are offline travel agents who claim that, okay, this leads come through me. So that's the major challenge that we face. We don't really face a lot of challenge between online offline, but attribution is something that we're really focusing on. So we're trying to like we mentioned, that 30 days attribution period to a specific travel agent. So that those are the things that we're trying to do. Secondly, we also are reliant heavily on influencer marketing, wherein an influencer goes to one of our villas, experiences the property. So again, for them, today we use an influencer code, but tomorrow or in future, when we have Amazon Live and shoppable ads, wherein our influencers are promoting our properties on these platforms and people can rent villas directly from there, that's when it'll become much more seamless, is what I would say. But today, yeah, that's, if they don't use the code, the influencer does not really get the attribution for that, right? Which is unfair to them. But that's what these shoppable ads and these live Amazon Live portals will really help.
Right. Any questions from the audience?
The famous quote, in marketing, the saying that, does one sell the refrigerator to an Eskimo? Does this phrase applies to your, saying that, you're selling the highest number of, water heaters?
I didn't get your question correctly, sir. So, does one sell highest?
No. That there's a saying that one sells. Can one sell a refrigerator to an Eskimo?
Oh.
So you.
No, so, okay. So, in case of a water heater, what has worked for us is, it's of course very need basis. It's not the same example as you mentioned. It is the demand coming from the right geographies. What worked for us is the right product, the placement.
Especially the rural segment, because reaching the unreachable.
Yeah.
That's where.
Yeah. So I'll give you another example other than water heater. So water heater does sell into tier 2 and sub-tier 2 cities as well. We're actually in a category called water pumps. I don't know how much of the metro citizens would be aware of that, but it's actually a pump which is used to pull up water, okay, from your municipal corporation lines or your underground tank into your tanks above on your terrace, right? It typically is there in independent houses in a tier 2, tier 3 city, right? We always thought that the consumers are kind of not very aware of what happens in the online world. They don't even search it online. Some 6 months back, we placed the product on Amazon, right? And we haven't done a thing. We just placed the right content. We have given great images. We've given exactly the same pricing as we give in the offline world. And just 2 days, we were having a conversation internally. I have the best ACOS and a 40% market share reported last month on that category. And that category is growing in excess of 100% against whatever base it has. And we plan to promote it further. But that's what the propensity of a consumer is, right? It's no longer e-com or is no longer a metro or a tier 1 city phenomena. The second category which sells the most after water heater is actually an air cooler, right? It's not typically a metro product, right? People buy a lot of air conditioners. And because we've got a plug and play model there, all we need to do is once people buy, you got a great product, call out the great features there. People are looking for value for money products there. A product which gives you great features with the same price. They're not looking at a cheap product though. And you get a plug and play model. People are buying it across different cities. It's growing rapidly. It's growing in excess of a 30%, right? So that's the propensity of the consumer. So don't be surprised when commerce advertising is not limited to top tier cities. It's gone beyond because it offers convenience. I come from a city like Dehradun, right? There I've seen the behaviors changing. Blinkit is gone to a place like Dehradun. This time when I visited on Diwali, I just ordered everything on Blinkit. I wanted to feel the joy of that, right?
Yeah, we have another question there.
Yeah, my question. My name is Bhavik. I'm an entrepreneur where I run a platform which is largest for doctors for networking and learning. The question is on Facebook. Facebook has a lot of advantages, right? What do you think went wrong or right for the marketplace on Facebook? It hardly worked, right? on Facebook, there's a feature called Marketplace where anybody can post for transactions or for e-commerce. Have you guys used it, or do you have any idea about it?
Facebook Marketplace, have you placed any of your products in Facebook Marketplace so far? No.
No, we don't use Facebook.
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
So let me start with it.
Yeah,
The first major problem was curation. With Facebook Marketplace, anybody major problems that OLX and Quicker also faced, right? Where people could just log in, create a login, like Facebook login is easy, right? You create a login, you start selling, there's absolutely no product. So a lot of users got scammed in that process, right? So curation was one major problem at Facebook because they wanted to reach that scale, right? So curation was one of the major problems. Second problem that we saw that the image quality, like because it's people like us uploading the images, right? The right guidelines were not given. Like if you have to take image of a bottle, right? Marketeers would know how to actually click images for this bottle and then upload it in the most attractive way so that the users or consumers would want to buy those products. So yeah, lack of that skill set also was the second reason why it didn't run as it was expected.
So we're kind of out of time on this session, and we have a couple of interesting, there's another interesting session after this, and then we have the awards later in the evening. So with that, I'd like to wrap up this session and thank everyone on the panel for their time. Thank you so much. Thank you.